Hello. How are you guys doing today? I don't know where to put you. I'm hiding under some bleachers right now. I was hiding here and I was listening to Hank Green on pseudoscience. And I had a pee. So I went to the other end of the bleachers and I peed. And as I was looking up, I saw a satellite. And I was reminded of the song Satellites by Kevin Gates. And reminded me of this one house party that I went to when I was younger. And I had a playlist, and I put that, and that song was in that playlist. I've always really liked that song. That song came out right after my wife and I separated. And I probably shouldn't have gone live here because I'll probably get kicked out, or someone will probably hear me and call the cops or something. But anyways, I was listening to The Angel Experiment. I was listening to Satellites. And for some reason, the combination of that song with the pseudoscience video that I watched from Hank Green and the place that we are right now in the story and what we're creating, this idea of being caged and being turned into something, if there's an oasis and we're in the desert, or we're lost in Babylon, or what have you, whatever Babylon turns us into is, do we want to bring that into the future, or something along those lines? And when I was younger, when I was in middle school, I really loved the books, the Maximum Ride books. They were some of my favorite, just because ideas of, I've always liked angels. I've always loved wings. I've always wanted to have wings. And I was posting a lot of angels today. And I was thinking of that in terms of like what we're creating, the idea of laundering ideas of human trafficking, and are people actually happy about that? That kind of stuff. So I downloaded The Angel Experiment. And I figured we could read a little bit of it. Maximum Ride, The Angel Experiment, from the #1 best-selling author of When the Wind Blows, James Patterson. Oh, James, the book of James, the Dispersion. We should probably read that. I have no light here right now, so we'll read that later. Okay, so I think what we'll do is So I was watching some YouTubers, and I was watching CJ the X, and I got some inspiration for some things that we should talk about. Actually got told that because I stopped at that place and started Lamentations, I should read the entirety of the first chapter of Lamentations, because essentially it feels like some sort of trap where we are right now. And the idea is, if you're truly Solomon and you're not willing to accept help from the people that believe in the religion and want to see the depravities go away, something akin to that. I don't know, that I just thought of that. That was ridiculous, but I just thought of that. But this idea that the Bible in and of itself was written by people that don't really want you to succeed, and the people that understand the language, the subtext of like everything, are the ones that do, or like, you know, two separate factions or something like that. So we're going to read Lamentations 1 first, and then we're going to finish. From there, we're going to go to the rest of, we're going to do that before the K and H reading. Also, another thing, the fall of Jerusalem and Babylon, the live that I did yesterday, is I ended up pooping. It guided me through taking a poop, which was really interesting. And it, I think it's like a one-to-one correlation into human trafficking, and how the people that are on the table aren't really able to poop and like have to be like guided to it, and have to like put some effort into, I can only guide you to the poop so far. You have to put an effort, and that seems to be a sort of like grooming thing when it comes to like that transference, that ritualistic transference that we were talking about. And then I was thinking about the ritualistic transference, just in terms of like I said, like what we're creating in terms of moving hand symbols from one aspect of the world to the other, or something along those lines, and how that transference has happened or occurred, or something along those lines, and how we feel about it, because like all of a sudden we're thrust into a world that is a little insane. A little. Anyways, Maximum Ride, The Angel Experiment. Warning: if you dare to read this story, you become part of the experiment. I know that sounds a little mysterious, but it's all I can say right now. Max. Everyone loves Max. Like the dog. Raves for the blockbuster Maximum Ride series include #1 New York Times bestseller, Publishers Weekly bestseller, an ALA Quick Picks for young adults, an ALA VOYA Teens Top 10 pick, a Voya Review Editor's Choice, VOYA, a New York Public Library Books for the Teen Age Selection, a Book Sense Summer 2007 Children's Pick, Book of the Week, Pace, Action, Mystery, and Cool, London Times. Maximum Ride, The Angel Experiment, by James Patterson, is like the best sort of video game or action movie. In book form, it shows the promise of becoming a favorite. Think of this group of 6, from 14-year-old Max to 6-year-old Angel, like the boxcar children of a new millennium. Cleveland Plain Dealer. The key to Maximum Ride success may be that it incorporates concepts familiar to young people. What makes these characters so appealing is that they have wings and can fly. Another plus, The book has the feeling of a video game. The writing is visual and cinematic. Things that kids expect from their video games, TV cartoon shows, and action movies. And the ending leaves plenty of wiggle room for a sequel. USA Today. Non-stop action carries this page-turner breathlessly from start to finish. Speed, suspense, excitement. Kirkus reviews. Practically ready-made for a movie script. Raw. So thrilling it drags kids in by their throats. Entertainment. With Maximum Ride, the claim of addictive is completely true. You cannot put it down. Karina for the Toronto Sun. Think wings, big wings. Chicago Tribune. The action never flags in this X-Men-like adventure. The non-stop action and the suspense, along with Max's engaging, wisecracking narration, make this a compelling read for adventure fans. Kliat, Kliatt. Simply wonderful. It was 20% funny, 20% suspense, 20% surprise, and 40% action. Damn it, Joshua. Patterson delivers an action-packed cross between Gertrude Chandler Wardner's Boxcar Children and Marvel Comics X-Men book list. A compelling read, school library journal, an appeal that transcends age, like the Harry Potter series. This is a reading experience that will be shared by children, their parents and grandparents. The Rocky Mountain News. This story pulled me in and I could not put it down. I would recommend this book to anyone looking for the ride of their lives. Kendall. I loved this book. It was so exciting and suspenseful that I literally jumped when something would happen. The narrator's voice was hilarious. I laughed out loud in the middle of my English class. It was a great book. Hannah. Copyright. All characters, places, companies, and events portrayed in this book are fictitious. Any similarities to real persons, living or dead, is coincidental and not intended by the author. This may be AI generated. Copyright C. 2005 by Sue Jack Incorporated. All rights reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced in any form or by any electronic or mechanical means, including information storage or retrieval systems, without permission in writing from the publisher, except by a reviewer who may quote brief passages in a review. Little, Brown and Company. Hachette Book Group, USA, 273 Park Avenue, New York, NY 10017. Visit our website at www.hachettebookgroup.com, www.lb-teens.com. First ebook edition, April 2005. ISBN 978-0-7595-1418-8. These are the table of contents. Again, I show you, but I will not read. Actually, well, they're all just chapters. Okay, so there's Everyone Loves Max, the copyright, the dedication, and the prologue. Part 1, Flock Fright, all the way from chapter 1 to chapter 11. Part 2, Hotel California, sort of. Chapter 12 through 48. And then part 3, School, What Could Be Scarier Than That? Chapter 49 through 66. Part 4, New York, chapter 67 through 85. Part 5, The Voice. Make that my voice. Chapter 86 through chapter 109. Oh, you guys are being difficult. Okay. There's no way. This was a very short book. There's no way there's this many chapters. Part 6. Who's your daddy? Who's your mama? Chapter 110 through chapter 134, and then the epilogue. A preview of Witch and Wizard. Prologue, Wisty. Chapter 1, Wit. Chapter 2, Wisty. Chapter 3, Wisty. Chapter 4, Wisty. Chapter 5, Wisty. Chapter 6, Wisty. A preview of Daniel X. Watch the skies. Prologue. Nights. What happens when your side of the planet is pointed at outer space. A preview of Maximum Ride, School's Out Forever. A preview of The Dangerous Days of Daniel X. Reader's Guide about the author. For Jennifer Rudolph Walsh, Hadley, Griffin, and Wyatt Zangwill. Gabriel Charbonnet, Monina, and Piera Varela. Susie and Jack, Mary Ellen and Andrew, Carol, Bridget, and Meredith. Fly, babies, fly. Many thanks to Gabriel Charbonnet, my conspirator, who flies high and cracks wise, and Mary Jordan for brave assistance and reason at every twist and turn. If this came out in 2005, this was before myself, or probably this was around the time when the transition was being made to myself. I was old at that point, about 10 years old. Also, this may be a little bit of a joke because I just farted, and I was really struggling with the fact that I didn't want to fart out loud with you guys. And it says here, who flies high and cracks wise. Oh yeah, I have to fly high. Hold up. Pause. To the reader. The idea for Maximum Ride comes from earlier books of mine called When the Wind Blows and The Lake House, which also feature a character named Max who escapes from a quite despicable school. Most of the similarities end there. Max and the other kids in Maximum Ride are not the same Max and kids featured in those two books, nor do Franny and Kit play any part in Maximum Ride. I hope you enjoy the ride anyway. Prologue. Congratulations. The fact that you're reading this means you've taken one giant step closer to surviving until your next birthday. Yes, you, standing there leafing through these pages. Do not put this book down. I'm dead serious. Your life could depend on it. This is my story. The story of my family. But it could just as easily be your story too. We're all in this together. Trust me on that. I've never done anything like this, so I'm just going to jump in and you try to keep up. Okay. I'm Max. I'm 14. I live with my family. 4 or 5 kids, not related to me by blood, but still totally my family. We're kind of amazing. Not to sound too full of myself, but we're like nothing you've ever met before. We're like nothing you've ever seen before. Basically, we're pretty cool, nice and smart, but not average in any way. The 6 of us, me, Fang, Iggy, Nudge, the Gas Man, and Angel, are made on purpose by the sickest, most horrible scientists you could possibly imagine. They created us as an experiment where we ended up on only 98% human. The other 2 has had a big impact. Let me tell you. I grew up in a science lab / prison called the school, in cages like lab rats. It's pretty amazing we can think or speak at all, but we can, and so much more. There was one other school experiment that made it past infancy. Part human, part wolf, all predator. They're called erasers. They're tough, smart, and hard to control. They look human, but when they want to, they're capable of morphing into wolfmen, complete with fur, fangs, and claws. The school uses them as guards, police, and executioners. To them, we're 6 moving targets. Prey smart enough to be a fun challenge. Basically, they want to rip our throats out. Make sure the world never finds out about us. But I'm not lying down just yet. I'm telling you, right? The story could be about you or your children. If not today, then soon. So please take this seriously. I'm risking everything that matters by telling you what you need to know. Keep reading. Don't let anyone stop you. Max and his family. Fang, Iggy, Nudge, the Gas Man, and Angel. Welcome to our nightmare. Part 1. Flock Fright. 1. The funny thing about facing an imminent death is that it really snaps everything else into perspective. Take right now, for instance. Run. Come on, run. You know you can do it. I gulped deep lungfuls of air. My brain was on hyperdrive. I was racing for my life. My one goal was to escape. Nothing else mattered. My arms being scratched to ribbons by a briar I'd run through. No biggie. My bare feet hitting every sharp rock, rough root, pointed stick. Not a problem. My lungs aching for air. I could deal. As long as I could put as much distance as possible between me and the erasers. Yeah, erasers. Mutants. Half men, half wolves. Usually armed. Usually bloodthirsty. Right now, they were after me. See? That snaps everything into perspective. Run. You're faster than they are. You can outrun anyone. I've been this far from the school before. I'd never been this far from the school before. I was totally lost. Still, my arms pumped by my sides. My feet crashed through the underbrush. My eyes scanned ahead anxiously through the half-light. I could outrun them. I could find a clearing with enough space for me to... Oh no. Oh no. The unearthly baying of bloodhounds on the scent wailed through the trees. And I felt sick. I could outrun men. All of us could. Even Angel. And she's only 6. But none of us could outrun a big dog. Dogs. Dogs, go away. Let me live another day. They were getting closer. Dim light filtered in through the woods in front of me. A clearing? Please, please. A clearing could save me. I burst through the trees, chest heaving, a thin sheen of cold sweat on my skin. Yes. No. Oh no. I skidded to a halt, my arms waving, my feet backpedaling in the rocky dirt. It wasn't a clearing. Oh, I need to figure out how to sit comfortably here. In front of me was a cliff, a sheer face of rock that dropped to an unseeable floor hundreds of feet below. In back of me were woods filled with drooling bloodhounds and psycho erasers with guns. Both options stank. The dogs were yelping excitedly. They'd found their prey. Moi. I looked over the deadly drop. There was no choice, really. If you were me, you'd have done the same thing. I closed my eyes, held out my arms, and let myself fall over the edge of the cliff. The erasers screamed angrily. The dogs barked hysterically. And then all I could hear was the sound of air rushing past me. It was so dang peaceful. For a second, I smiled. Then, taking a deep breath, I unfurled my wings as hard and as fast as I could. 13 feet across, pale tan with white streaks and some freckly-looking brown spots. They caught the air, and I was suddenly yanked upward, hard, as if a parachute had just opened. Yow! Not to self, no subtle unfurling. Wincing, I pushed downward with all my strength, then pulled my wings up, then pushed downward again. Oh my God, I was flying, just like I'd always dreamed. The cliff floor, draped in shadow, receded beneath me. I laughed and surged upward, feeling the pull of my muscles, the air whistling through my secondary feathers, the breeze drying the sweat on my face. I sort of passed the cliff edge, past the startled hounds and the furious erasers. One of them, hairy-faced, fangs dripping, raised his gun. A red dot of light appeared on my torn nightgown. Not today, you jerk, I thought, veering sharply west so the sun would be in his hate-crazed eyes. I watched the sunset today, and it did feel, I was watching YouTube as I wasn't watching the sunset, and part of me wanted to watch the sunset, and then a car revved, and I just like glared at the car because I was like, what, do you want me to go blind? My eyes hurt. And then it was kind of like a conversation about which part of the body do you listen to? Because again, I don't think people pay enough attention to the eyes. Well, all the eyes. I'm going to die today. What? 2. I jolted upright in bed, gasping, my hand over my heart. I couldn't help checking my nightgown. No red laser dot, no bullet holes. I fell back on my bed, limping with relief. Geez, I hated that dream. It was always the same. Running away from the school, being chased by erasers and dogs, me falling off a cliff, then suddenly whoosh, wings, flying, escape. I always woke up feeling a second away from death. Note to self, give subconscious a pep talk, RE, better dreams. It was chilly, but I forced myself out of my cozy bed. I threw on clean sweats. Amazingly, Nudge had put the laundry away. Everyone else was still asleep. I could have a few minutes of peace and quiet, get a jump on the day. I glanced out the hall windows and the way to the kitchen. I love this view. The morning sunlight breaking over the crest of the mountains. The clear sky. The deep shadows. The fact that I could see no sign of any other people. We were high on a mountain. Safe. Just me and my family. Our house was shaped like the letter E, turned on its side. The bars of the E were cantilevered on stilts out over a steep canyon. So if I looked out a window, I felt like I was floating. On a cool scale from 1 to 10, this house was an easy 15. Here, my family and I could be ourselves. Here, we could live free. I mean, literally free. As in, not in cages. Long story. More on that later. And of course, here's the best part. No grown-ups. When we first moved here, Jeb Batchelder had taken care of us like a dad. He'd saved us. None of us had parents, but Jeb had come as close as possible. 2 years ago, he'd disappeared. I knew he was dead. We all did. But we didn't talk about it. Now we were on our own. Yep. No one telling us what to do, what to eat, when to go to bed. Well, except me. I'm the oldest. So I try to keep things running as best as I can. It's a hard, thankless job, but someone has to do it. We don't go to school either. So thank God for the internet. Because otherwise we wouldn't know nothing. Because we don't know anything. But no schools, no doctors, no social workers knocking on our door. It's simple. If no one knows about us, we stay alive. I was rustling around for food in the kitchen when I heard Sleepy shuffling behind me. Morning, Max. Three. Morning, Gassy. I sat as the heavy-lidded 8-year-old slumped at the table. I rubbed his back and dropped a kiss on his head. He'd been the gas man ever since he was a baby. What can I say? The child has something funky with his digestive system. A word to the wise, stay upwind. The gas man blinked up at me, his gorgeous blue eyes round and trusting. What's for breakfast, he asked, sitting up. His fine blonde hair stuck up all over his head, reminding me of a fledgling's downy feathers. It's a surprise, I said, since I had no idea. I'll pour juice, the gas man offered, and my heart swelled. He was a sweet, sweet kid, and so was his little sister. He and a 6-year-old Angel were the only blood siblings among us. We were all family anyways. Soon, Iggy, tall and pale, slouched into the kitchen. Eyes closed, he fell onto our beat-up couch with perfect aim. The only time he has trouble being blind is when one of us forgets and moves furniture or something. Hey, Ig, rise and shine, I said. Bite me, he mumbled sleepily. Fine, I said. Miss breakfast. I was looking in the fridge with naive hope. Maybe the food fairies had come. When the back of my neck prickled, I straightened quickly and spun around. Will you quit that? I said. Fang always appears silently like that, out of nowhere, like a dark shadow come to life. He regarded me calmly, dressed and alert. His dark, overlong hair brushed back. He was 4 months younger than me, but already 4 inches taller. Quit what? He asked calmly. Breathing? I rolled my eyes. You know what? With a grunt, Iggy staggered upright. I'll make eggs, he announced. I guess if I were more of a fembot, it would bother me that a blind guy 6 months younger than I am could cook better than I could. But I'm not, so it didn't. I surveyed the kitchen. Breakfast was well underway. Fang, you set the table. I'll go get Nudge and Angel. The two girls shared this last small bedroom. I pushed the door open to find 11-year-old Nudge asleep, tangled up in her covers. She was barely recognizable with her mouth shut. I thought Riley. When she was awake, we called it the Nudge Channel. All Nudge, all the time. That's crazy. I could take a shower. Hey, sweetie. Up and at 'em, I said, gently shaking her shoulder. Breakfast in 10. Nudge blinked, her brown eyes struggling to focus on me. What? She mumbled. Another day, she said. Get up and face it. Groaning, Nudge levered herself into a crumpled but technically upright position. Across the room, a thin curtain concealed one corner. Angel always liked small, cozy spaces. Her bed, tucked behind the curtain, was like a nest, full of stuffed animals, books, most of her clothes. I smiled and pulled the curtain back. "Hey, you're already dressed," I said, leaning over to hug her. "Hi, Max," Angel said, tugging her blonde curls out of her collar. "Can you do my buttons?" "Yep." I turned her around and started doing her up. I've never told the others, but I just loved Angel. Maybe because I'd been taking care of her practically since she was a baby. Maybe because she was just so incredibly sweet and loving herself. Maybe because I'm like your little girl, said Angel, turning around to look at me. But don't worry, Max. I won't tell anybody. Besides, I love you best, too. She threw her skinny arms around my neck and planted a somewhat sticky kiss on my cheek. I hugged her back, hard. Oh yeah, that's another special thing about Angel. She can read minds. 4. I want to go pick strawberries today, Angel said firmly, scooping up a forkful of scrambled eggs. They're ripe now. Can you guys even see me? You can't. That better? Yeah, I don't trust it. Okay, so like right before I went live, I was listening to another song by Kevin Gates, and it said something about not letting it go or something along those lines. And again, we're talking about transference and like fighting for something or believing in something or something along those lines. And I wonder if like at any moment I were to do the wrong thing, if I were to just go like continue reading the Bible, speed run it, if I weren't to add caveats and things like this, what would happen? Okay, Angel, I'll go with you, said the gas man. Just then he let rip one of his unfortunate occurrences and giggled. Oh geez, Gazzy, I said disapprovingly. Gas mask, Iggy choked out, grasping his neck and pretending to asphyxiate. I'm done, Bang said, getting up quickly and taking his plate to the sink. Sorry, the gas man said automatically, but he kept eating. Yeah, Angel, said Nudge. I think the fresh air would do us all good. I'll go too. We'll all go, I said. Outside, it was beautiful, clear and cloudless, with the first real heat of May. We carried buckets and baskets as Angel led us to a huge patch of wild strawberries. She held my hand. I think my wife messaged me in May. She held my hand. If you make cake, I can make strawberry shortcakes, she said happily. Yeah, that'll be the day when Max makes a cake, I heard Iggy say. I'll make it, Angel. I whirled. Oh, thank you, I exclaimed. Okay, I'm not a fabulous cook, but I can still kick your butt. And don't you forget it. Iggy was laughing, holding up his hands in denial. Nudge was trying not to laugh. One Fang was grinning. The gas man looked mischievous. Was that you? I asked Gassy. He grinned and shrugged, trying not to look too pleased with himself. The gas man had been about 3 when I realized he could mimic just about any sound or voice. I'd lost count of how many tunes, how many times Iggy and Fang had almost come to blows over stuff Gassy had said in their voices. It was a dark gift, and he wielded it happily. It was just another weird ability. Most of us had them. Whatever they were, they sure made life more interesting. Next to me, Angel froze and screamed. Startled, I stared down at her. And in the next second, men with wolfish muzzles, huge canines and reddish, glinting eyes dropped out of the sky like spiders. Erasers. It wasn't a dream. There's this thing. Again, like even in this story, I'm trying to launder myself, I guess. And like the MRI, again, I've complained about this. The MRI machine has like an entire transcript, and for some reason, this keeps like insinuating that that transcript is never going to see the light of day, and I don't like that. It's like the director's cut. Okay, this here is the director's cut, let's say. And then there's the deleted extended edition that hopefully people will be studying once it does see the light of day. 5. There was no time to think. Jeb had trained us not to think, just to act. I launched myself at an eraser, spinning and planting a hard roundhouse kick in his barrel chest. His breath went oof, and the odor was just awful, like raw sewage left out in the hot sun. After that, it was like a movie. A bunch of superimposed images that hardly seemed real. I landed another blow. Then an eraser punched me so hard that my head snapped around. I felt a burst of blood in my mouth. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Fang holding his own against an eraser, until 2 more ganged up on him, and he went down, under, flailing, clawing hands. Iggy was still upright, but one eye was already swelling shut. Beyond shock, I scrambled to my feet and saw the gas man out cold, lying face down on the ground. I leaped toward him, only to be grabbed again. 2 erasers pinned my arms behind my back. Another leaned in, his reddish eyes glinting with excitement, his jaw fully morphed out and snout-like. He pulled back his hand and curled it into a fist. Then he brought it in hard, punching me in the stomach. Is that in reference to the Bible and what happened? Yeah, because like I said, well, yeah, the entire thing was brutal. Well, I mean, I did get to poop after the fact. So there's that. An unbelievable pain exploded inside me, and I doubled over, dropping like a stone. Dimly I heard Angel screaming and Nudge crying. Get up, I told myself, trying to suck in air. Get up. Those weird mutant kids were much, much stronger than regular grown-up humans. But erasers aren't regular grown-up humans. And they outnumbered us as well. We were dog meat. I struggled to my hands and knees, trying not to retch. I staggered to my feet, bloodlust in my eyes, ready to kill. 2 erasers held Nudge's hands and feet. They swung her hard, and she went sailing, hitting her head against the tree. I heard a small, pained cry, and then she laid crumpled among the pine needles. With a hoarse, blood-muffled shout, I ran up and clapped my cupped palms around an eraser's furry ears. He shrieked as his eardrums popped. He fell to his knees. Max, Angel screamed, high-pitched and terrified, and I spun around. An eraser had her by the arms, and I raced forward, jumping over Iggy, who now lay unconscious. 2 erasers fell on me, knocking me down, one pressing a heavy knee onto my chest. I wheezed and struggled, and one of them cuffed my face hard, his ragged claws digging deep welts into my cheek. Dizzily, I fell back, the 2 erasers pinning me. And with the uncomprehending horror, I saw 3 other erasers stuffing Angel, my baby, into a rough sack. She was crying and screaming, and one of them hit her. Frantically struggling, I tried to scream, but could make only a hoarse, choked cry. Get off me, you stupid monster. I choked, but I was slammed back again. An eraser leaned over me, smiling horribly. Max, he said, and my stomach clenched. Did I know him? Good to see you again. He went on conversationally. Is that water? You look like crap. You always acted so much better than everyone else, so this cheers me up. Who are you? I gasped, feeling cold at the center of my being. The eraser grinned, his long, sharp teeth barely fitting in his jaw. You don't recognize me? I guess I've grown some. My eyes went wide with sudden, horrified recognition. Ari, I whispered. And he laughed like a mad person. Then he stood up. I saw his huge black boot come at my head. Felt my head jerk on one side, and everything went black. My last thought was disbelief. Ari was Jeff's son. They'd made him into an eraser. He was 7 years old. 6. Max? The gas man's voice was very young and very scared. I heard a horrible, low moan, then realized it had come from me. The gas man and Fang were leaning over me, concerned expressions on their bruised, bloodied faces. I'm okay, I croaked, having no idea if I was or not. Memory came rushing back, and I tried to sit up. Where's Angel? My voice was strained. Fang's dark eyes met mine. She's gone. They took her. I thought I might faint again. I remember being 9 years old, looking out the wired glass lab window, watching the erasers in the semi-darkness. The white coats had released chimpanzees onto the school grounds, or let newly made erasers loose after them, teaching them how to hunt. The sounds of the chimpanzees screeching in terror and pain still echoed in my mind. That was who had Angel now. Rage overwhelmed me. Why couldn't they have taken me instead? Why take a tiny kid? Maybe I would have had a chance. Maybe. Shakily, I got to my feet. My head was spinning, and I had to lean against Fang, hating my weakness. We've got to get up. We've got to get her. We've got to get her. I said urgently, trying to stay upright. We've got to get her before they... Horror-filled images flashed through my mind. Angel being chased, being hurt, being killed. I gulped, shutting them down. Check in, guys. Are you up for a chase? I examined the 4 of them. They joked like they'd been stuffed into a blender set on chop. Yes, I said in a tear-choked voice. I'm up, said Iggy, a split lip making his voice thick. The gas man nodded solemnly at me. To my horror, hot tears momentarily blurred my vision. I wiped them away with the back of one hand and called on Fury to keep me going. Just then, Iggy cocked his head slightly. It was a clue for me to start listening intently. And I heard it too. A faint engine noise. There, Iggy said, pointing. The 5 of us ran stiffly and clumsily toward the sound. 100 yards through the woods brought us to a sharp drop-off, maybe 50 feet above an old, unused logging road. Then I saw it, a black Humvee, dull with dust and mud, bumping roughly over the unpaved road. My heart pounded. I knew, just knew that my little one, my Angel, was inside, and she was on her way to a place where death came as a blessing. It wasn't going to happen, not while I was breathing. Let's get her, I cried, and I backed up about 10 feet. The others scurried out of my way as I ran to the edge and simply jumped out into space. I started to fall toward the road. Then I unfurled my wings, fast, catching the wind, and I began to fly. I think I heard someone. Un momento, por favor. Okay, I don't know what I heard, but whatever. Chapter 7. You see, that nightmare I had is actually hard to tell apart from my real life. My friends and I really did used to live at a stinking cesspool of evil called the school. We were created by scientists, white coats who grafted avian DNA onto our human genes. Jeb had been a white coat, but he'd felt sorry for us, cared about us, and kidnapped us away from there. We were bird kids, a flock of 6, and the erasers wanted to kill us. Now they had 6-year-old Angel. I gave a strong push down and then up, feeling my shoulder muscles working to move my 13-foot wingspan. I banked sharply, heading after the Humvee. A quick glance back revealed that Nudge had jumped out after me. The Iggy, the Gas Man, and Fang. In tight formation, we swerved down toward the car. Fang snatched the dead branch off a tree. We dropped straight down and smashed it against the Humvee's front windshield. The vehicle swerved. The window rolled down. A gun barrel poked out. Around me, trees started popping with bullets. The smell of hot metal and gun smoke filled the air. I looked back into the tree line, still tracking the car. Fang smashed the windshield again. Bullets spit from several windows. Fang wisely surged away. Okay, so I think this book was written about my family life. Well, no, 2005? Yeah. Was it written about my family life? Because Serge is my brother Serge. This was before Jonathan was born. Jonathan was born in 2006. Angel, I screamed. We're here. We're coming for you. Up ahead, called Fang. And I saw a clearing maybe 200 yards away. Through the trees, I could barely see the greenish outline of a chopper. The Humvee was bouncing heavily over the rutted road. I met Fang's eyes, and he nodded. Our chance was when they moved Angel from the car to the chopper. It all happened so fast, though. The Humvee braked awkwardly, sliding in the mud. The door burst open and an eraser sprang out. Fang dropped on him and recoiled with a yell, his arm dripping blood. The eraser sped toward the chopper, throwing himself through the open latch. The second eraser, showing his huge yellow canine teeth, leapt from the car and hurled something into the air, shouting. Nudge, shouting. Nudge grabbed Iggy's hand and they pulled backward fast as a grenade exploded in front of them, spewing chunks of metal and tree bark everywhere. The chopper's rotor was picking up speed, and I shot out from behind the trees. They were not going to get my baby. They were not taking her back to their place. Ari jumped out of the car, carrying the sack with Angel in it. I tore toward the chopper, fear and desperation, fear and desperate anger making my blood sing. Ari threw Angel's sack through the open door. He jumped in behind, an incredible athlete himself. With a furious roar, I sprang up and caught hold of the chopper's landing skid just as it took off. The metal was hot from the sun and too wide to hold. I hooked one arm over it, trying to steady myself. The massive downdraft from the rotors almost snapped my wings in half. I pulled them in, and the erasers laughed, pointing at me as they closed the glass hatch. Ari was right there. He picked up a rifle and aimed it at me. "Let me tell you a secret, old pal, old chap," Ari yelled at me. "You've got it all wrong. We're the good guys." "Angel," I whispered, near tears. Ari's claw tightened on the trigger. He would do it. And dead, I would be no use to anybody. My heart breaking, I let go, falling fast, just as I saw a small, tousled, blonde head shake itself free of the sack. My baby, flying away toward her death. And trust me on this, things much worse than death. 8. We all have great vision, raptor vision. So we had the excruciating pain of watching the helicopter take Angel away for much longer than the average person. My throat closed with a sob. Angel, whom I had cared for since she was a baby with goofy chicken wings. I felt like they had chopped my own right wing off, leaving a ragged, gaping wound. "They have my sister," the gas man howled, throwing himself down. He always tried so hard to be a tough guy, but he was only 8, and he'd just seen his sister kidnapped by the hounds of hell. He pounded the dirt with his fists, and Fang knelt next to him, one arm tenderly around his shoulder. "Max, what are we gonna do?" Mitch's eyes were swimming with tears. She was bruised and bloody, her fists clenching and unclenching anxiously. "They have Angel." Suddenly I knew I was going to implode. Without a word, I pushed off from the ground, wings out, taking off as fast as I could. I flew out of sight, out of the others' hearing. Ahead was a huge Douglas fir, and I landed ungracefully in one of its upper branches, maybe 175 feet in the air. Scrabbling to catch hold because I'd overshot. Gasping, I clung to the limb. "Okay, Max, think. Fix this. Figure something out." My brain was flooded with too much thought, emotion, confusion, rage, pain. I needed to get a grip, but I couldn't get a grip. It was like I had just lost my little sister, and like I had lost my little girl. Oh God, Angel, Angel. Angel. Yelling as loud as I could, I made fists and punched the chunky bark of the fir tree hard, over and over, until finally actual pain seeped into my searing consciousness. I stared at my knuckles, saw the blood, the missing skin, the splinters. The physical pain hurt so much that the physical pain hurt much less than the mental kind. My angel, my baby, had been snatched away. She was with bloodthirsty man-wolf mutants eager for her blood, who would turn her over to despicable lab geeks who wanted to take her apart. Literally. Then I was crying, clinging to the tree as if there were a lifeboat from the Titanic. And I sobbed and sobbed until I thought I'd make myself sick. Gradually the sobs slowed to shudders, and I wiped my face on my shirt, leaving streaks of blood. I sat in the tree until my breath calmed, my breathing calmed, and my brain seemed to be hitting on most cylinders again. My hands were killing me, though. Note to self: stop punching inanimate objects. Okay. It was time to go down and be strong. To get everyone together. To come up with plan B. And one other thing. Ari's last words were still screaming in my brain. We're the good guys. 9. I don't even remember flying home. I felt heartbroken and numb. And when we walked into the kitchen, the first thing I saw was Angel's breakfast plate on the table. Icky howled and swept his hand across the kitchen counter, catapulting a mug through the air. Hit Fang in the side of the head. "Watch it, idiot," yelled at Iggy furiously. Then he realized that what he had said, clenched his teeth and rolled his eyes at me in frustration. Tears were streaming down my cheeks, their salt stinging where the eraser had raked me with his claws. Moving automatically, I got the first aid kit and started cleaning the gas man's scrapes and cuts. I looked around. Nudge's cheek was bleeding. Some shrapnel had burned her as it flew past. For once, she wasn't talking. She was curled on the couch, crying. The gas man glanced up at me. "How'd you let this happen, Max?" I was asking myself the same question. True, I'm the leader. I'm Max the Invincible. But I'm also just a 14-year-old kid. And every once in a while, like when I realize all over again that Jeb is gone forever, that we're on our own, that the others depend on me and I can't let them down, well, that's when it gets to me. Suddenly, I'm a little kid again, wishing Jeb were back, or even, hey, wishing I was normal, or had parents. Yeah, right. "You watch it," Iggy shouted at Fang. What happened? I mean, you guys can see, can't you? Why couldn't you get Angel? They had a chopper. The gas man yelled, squirming out of my reach. And guns are not bulletproof. Guys, I yelled. We're all upset, but we're not the enemy. They're the enemy. That's rude. I stuck the last Band-Aid in the gas man and started pacing. Just be quiet a minute so I can think. I added more calmly. It wasn't their fault. Our rescue mission had been such a total ditcher. It wasn't their fault Angel was gone. It was their fault that the kitchen looked like it belonged to a family of hygiene-challenged jackals. But I would deal with that later. Whenever that kind of thing became important again, if ever. Vicky moved to the couch and almost sat on Nudge. She scooted to one side, and when he sat down, she put her head on his shoulder. He stroked her hair. Take deep breaths, the gas man advised me, looking concerned. I almost burst into tears again. I had let his sister get kidnapped, failed to save her, and he was worried about me. Fang was darkly silent. His eyes watched me as he opened a can of ravioli and picked up a fork with a heavily bandaged hand. You know, they just wanted to kill her, or kill all of us. They could have. Nudge said shakily. They had guns. They wanted Angel alive for some reason. And they didn't care if we were alive or not. I mean, they didn't go out of their way to make sure that we were dead, is what I'm saying. If I were to continue reading the Bible without hopping around, I'm pretty sure we'd be dead by now. Yeah, and then we could get into, you know, the organization and how the organization is kind of helping me whilst the people that the stars hate me. The stars hate me. The organization in and of itself is a self-perpetuating machine that doesn't care that they hate me. And we have to fix the fact that they hate me. Or something along those lines, I don't know. So what makes you think we have time to go after Angel again? Oh, wait. They had guns. They wanted Angel alive for some reason. And they didn't care if we were alive or not. I mean, they didn't go out of their way to make sure we were dead. Is that what I'm saying? So what makes you think we have time to go after Angel again? Like it's nice to know, I think the beauty of like iterations of God through time, like even in, you know, the language that we have to steep ourselves in and the derision and all that kind of stuff, that there is like that underlying message that nobody ever listens to, but part of being God is the idea that you kind of are that underlying message, and it can perpetuate itself into forms where even in 2005, let's say, even if this wasn't me, even if it was my predecessor, that we kind of have each other's backs, even if the stars hate us, you know, because we do run the organization. And then, you know, the pyramid is complete or something. I don't know. And when I say we, I mean me and my forefathers. I don't mean you guys. You guys are a part of it. Essentially, you would be replacing the stars. Or the stars would come down to Earth, or something along. I don't know, man. But they weren't a chopper, said the gas man. They're way gone. They could be anywhere. His lower lip trembled, and he clenched his jaw. Like China, or something. I went over and ruffled his already ruffled blonde hair. I don't think they took her to China, Gassy. We know where they took her. Things, calm words, felt like stones. He scraped the bottom of the can with his fork. Where's that? Iggy asked, raising his head. His blind eyes bloodshot with unshed tears. The school. Fang and I said at the same time. Well, as you can imagine, that went over like a ton of frickin' bricks. 10. Nudge gasped. Wait, let me check the battery real quick. Not bad, not bad. 10. Nudge gasped. Her hand over her mouth, her eyes wide. The gas man looked scared, then tried to wipe it off his face. Iggy's spine tightened, his face like ice. When he'd been at the school, they'd tried to surgically enhance his night vision. Now he was blind forever. Oops. They took Angel back to the school? The gas man asked, confused. I think so. I said, trying to sound together and leisurely, as if I weren't screaming with panic inside. Why? Nudge whispered. After 4 years, I thought maybe they had forgotten. They want us back, said Fang. We never really talked about this. It was like, out of sight, out of mind. Actually, more like, let's all try to forget when we were at the mercy of sadistic jerks in a place that's a total nightmare and ought to be firebombed. Yeah. More like that. They'll never forget about us. Jeb wasn't supposed to take us out of there. I reminded the gas man. Jeb knew they would do anything to get us back. If anyone ever discovered what they did to us, it would be the end of the school. Fang explained. Why don't we tell on them then? Nudge demanded. We go to a TV station and tell everyone and say, look, they grew wings on us. We're just little kids. And, okay, that would fix them, Iggy interrupted. But we'd end up in a zoo. Well, what are we gonna do then? The gas man was starting to sound panicky. Fang had gotten up and left the room. And now he returned, holding a sheaf of yellowed, fading papers. They just looked nimbled. He shook some mouse poop off. Ew, said Nudge, wiping her nose on her sleeve. Ew, what's that? Here, said Fang, pushing the papers at me. They were Jeb's ancient printed out files. After he disappeared, we cleared off his desk and shoved everything in the back of a closet so we wouldn't have to look at it all the time. We spread the papers out on the kitchen table. Just looking at them made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Not to mention the strong eau de mouse. Eau de mouse. It's E-A-U. It's like the smell of. Eau de mouse. I'd rather have been doing anything but. Things started to sift through the pile. Found a large manila envelope sealed with a clump of wax. After looking at me, catching my nod, he popped the wax with his thumbnail. "What is that?" asked the gas man. "Map," Blaine said, pulling out a faded topological drawing. "Map of what?" Nudged him closer, peering over Fang's shoulder. "Map of a secret facility," I said, feeling my stomach clench. I'd hoped I'd never have to see it again. Never break that wax seal. In California, in the school. 11. "What?" the gas man squeaked. He went even paler than normal, if possible. "That's where they took Angel," I said. "And that's where we have to go to get her back." "Oh," said Nudge, her brain hitting overdrive. "Yeah, we have to go get Angel back. Can't let her stay there with them. They're monsters. They're going to do bad things to her. Put her in a cage." Hurt her. But there's 5 of us, so the rest of us have to go get. I had wrapped my hands across her mouth. She peeled my fingers apart. How far is it?" 600 miles, more or less, Fang said. "At least a 7-hour flight, not including breaks." "Can we discuss this?" Iggy asked, not turning his head. "We're way outnumbered." "No." I scanned the map, already working out routes, rest stops, backup plans. "Can we take a boat?" They had guns and a chopper. There was an edge in Iggy's voice. "Iggy, this is not a democracy," I said, understanding his fear, but unable to do anything about it. "It's a maxocracy. You know we have to go after Angel. You can't be thinking that we should just let them take her. The 6 of us look out for one another, no matter what. None of us is ever going to live in a cage again. Not while I'm alive." I took a deep breath. But actually, Nudge, Fang, and I are going after Angel. You and the gas man, I need you to stay here. Hold down the fort. On the off chance Angel escapes and makes her way home. There was a moment of dead silence. "You are so full of it," said Iggy, turning toward me. "That's not why you want us here. Why don't you just say it?" Tension was making my stomach hurt. I didn't have time for this. No. Angel didn't have time for this. Okay, I said, trying for a placating tone. It's true. I don't want you to come. The fact is, you're blind. And while you're a great flyer around here where you know everything, I can't be worrying about you in the middle of a firefight with the erasers. Iggy's face twisted in anger. He opened his mouth but got cut off. What about me? The gas man squealed. I don't care if they have guns and a chopper and erasers. She's my sister. That's right. And if they want her so bad, they might want you just as bad. I pointed out. Plus, you're a great flyer. But you're 8 years old, and we're going to be logging major routers. That's funny. You're 8 years old, and we're going to be logging major hours. Jeb would never have made us stay, Iggy said angrily. Never. Ever. I pressed my lips together. I was doing the best I could. Maybe not, I admitted. We'll never know. Jeb's dead. Now everyone, get your gear together. Part 2. Hotel California. Sort of. What? I was gonna go to chapter 13. Ugh. I mean, I guess the parts make sense now. We clear on plan B? I asked, raising my voice so Bang and Nudge could hear me over the roar of the wind. We were headed into the sun, south-southwest. You see how, like, my voice was about to go higher and then the door closed and then I went low? I love that. It's my favorite. Ow. I mean, I guess we could leave it there. Yeah, why not? We'll start part 2 tomorrow, maybe. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed. This still feels very unfinished. But I guess we're kind of like in an uncomfortable situation. I think in the 3D world, my mother really doesn't want me here, but doesn't really know what to do. And I mean, in the same vein, I think tonight's just a very uncomfortable night for everybody. So, we'll see how it goes. Oh, but I did find out that I can charge my my iPhone with this phone, which is kind of cool. So if I fully charge this phone, I have 3 battery packs for my phone. So as far as like hours away from outlets, I think we're getting exponentially. So we have a 30% battery here. We have about a charge and a half from my laptop and maybe about half a charge from this phone, depending on the battery. Yeah, we'll see. Ow, dude, I need a shower. My face is flaking, ripping apart. Okay, I'll be back later. Love you guys.